So are we at 17 or 18 or something like this? So we had our very important, not that any of the other stuff hasn't been important, but a very important area, knowledge. As a DAPA, I believe Adapa was the god of knowledge, and he was Sumerian. Adapa, he had knowledge, but he didn't have eternal life. Maybe he wasn't a god. He just had knowledge. So the advent of writing and writing on clay, because it was written on clay. Number one, I'm not going to get this wrong, Sumer, Akkad, Babylonia, Assyria, the Hittite Empire, even Egypt, they wrote on clay. Ugarit, they wrote on clay. Now, clay is the one thing that, number one, it's cheap, because if you're around a river and the clay is there and it dries out hard, and you can write on it in little. I know it's hard to see because the writing is very, very small, but you write in little figures. You can write actually on both. The clay dries a little bit, and you can indent with a stylus into that. And if you know the symbols, like it was shown how the symbols for things transformed into sounds from a pictograph to a syllabic form of writing, then you can transport ideas, not just quantities of grain or rations, but whole ideas. And so here we have, and they wrote on clay on this is so good. I've never seen a cuneiform tablet in person. I've seen them in books, I've seen lots of them in videos, but to see one in person is just unbelievable. It's just, and here's what it's gonna say. You can pause and read that, but well, I'm not Irving Finkel, so I can't read that. That's now. Let's see here. Okay. Now, at the same time it was being used, just the same as we have now, I believe it's the Latin alphabet that we use now. It can be written, in a French, Turkish, with some changes to different languages. So it's the same thing with cuneiform. They wrote different languages using the same form of writing. Okay, let's see who that is. Tushapa Relief Stele. I think that might be Assyrian. Look at the quality of that head. Embossed human head stele. Oh, of Sargon. Okay. That's probably, is that Sargon II? Grave stele. Okay. So, unfortunately. And see, when some people might know Daesh, came into Syria after the Gulf War. Now people think, oh well, they kicked Saddam Hussein out. Oh, that was a good thing, but that opened up a power vacuum, and what came in behind was way worse than Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein had reverence for the history of his people because Daesh, because of their religious beliefs, they wanted to destroy all the history and all the stuff that come before, and so they did more damage. So be careful what you do, because you might think your action is a good action, even destroying somebody you might perceive as being evil or bad, but in effect you might be causing more damage in some ways than it's more cuneiform. I guess the point I was trying to make is, don't think yourself so superior to anybody else, and especially in really, people can think they're superior. I do myself sometimes. I think I'm superior, but I don't try to determine what other people should do or think or how they should live. Unless it affects me directly, I do not take much. Sultan Tepe. How much stuff like this is still hiding out in the wild somewhere? This is Hittite. Oh, so those columns that we've seen, here is what it says. The next one. Shamash. The Sumerians, speaking of gods, the Sumerians were the first in this area to have gods that we know of by name, and so the Sumerians were in existence for, I think, over 1,000 years. So the Akkadians, Semitic-speaking people. Now, Semitic is a language group, not a nationality. Don't think that. Semitic is so Semitic-speaking people. They came into the area to the north of Sumer, and they basically supplanted the Sumerians. Now, Sumerians' language was basically just used for diplomatic text and for court dealings and things like that, and Akkadian became the widely used for the people, the language. So like I was saying, cuneiform could be used for many different languages. So it was used for Sumerian, then it went to Akkadian. And then when Babylon took over, the Babylonian Empire took over. These look like a Lamash too. I think they are because they have a beard. Yeah, these are Lamash too. Yeah. Or Lamassu, excuse me. Lamassu. When the Babylonians took over, so then it went to the Assyrians. The gods changed. So one person's god, like Nana, would be Ishtar in how they were putting stuff up. Oof. So that is it, Ishtar, and then the same god, or the same basic premise for the god was used from civilization to civilization, and from with sometimes different names, sometimes the same names. It's not always yeah. So but the gods were very important, and they had not just one god, they had a multitude of gods that served different purposes. And the religion of what people believe, the Bible and Islam, took lots of I'll just go down, lots of hints from the different civilizations that came before it. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we take lots of points from civilizations that come before us. So